Yo, what is up? We are riding with Benzo Primus. Why am I showing you his stats here? Well, this is the seal of authority. This is showing you that you are watching a really good player showing off his skills. Every move he's making, every action that he takes is deliberate and purposeful. So today we are riding with Benzo Primus in his Super Conqueror. He's gonna have a massive game, and hopefully you are going to learn a little bit about this tank, how to play this map, and what kind of positions to take, so that the next time when you come across this map in this tank, you'll know exactly what to do. Now we are in Empire's border, spawned on the western side or on the north side. So he's going to drive all the way down and take the K line, get up on the hill. Now, of course, the Super Conqueror is one of the, well, it's not a very old tank now, but it's fairly old. It is, in terms of the game, it is not a very it is not a super old tank, because this tank was introduced maybe 2015, 2016 as a replacement for the FV4202. In case you guys didn't know, the FV4202, before it was a premium tank, it was a tier 10 medium tank, and it was replaced by the Centurion Action X, and around that time as well they introduced this tank, the Super Conqueror, as a new tier 10 heavy tank. Now he's taking this position, and this position is super strong for a Super Conqueror because it has amazing turret armor and amazing upper hull armor. The upper hull armor is 152 millimeters frontally, the turret armor 279 frontal turret armor, and then it has this heat shields as well. Well, they're not heat shields, they're spacers or space shields, or whatever shield you want to call it. But anyway, this makes for really good armor on the Super Conqueror. If you can manage to hide the lower hull, you will completely dominate this position, because you are not showing your enemy any weak spots. Now, as you can see, he's doing a lot of damage, 3,523 damage in just 2.5 minutes, and he has not taken any damage, which means he has made 0 mistakes so far. And throughout the game, you're not going to see him make any mistake at all. In fact, this is a flawless game by our friend Benzo Primus. Here you go. Right on the 3-minute mark, he's already done 4,870 damage. If his game ended here, it would have been a great game anyway. But if you take a look at the map, all the enemy tanks that he was facing and everyone that he killed was basically not the entire team. It was just 1/3 of the team, and they were quite easy to get rid of because they were tier 8s. There was an IS-3 version 2. There was a 60 TP tier 9, but it can't do much when you are fighting against a Super Conqueror hull down. And just like that, he managed to farm 4,870 damage. He's making his way back to the base because he's an experienced player. He knows where the weakness is. He was looking on his mini-map all the time. He can see that the enemies were heading up the north, and that is exactly where he went back to almost immediately. And even though he reacted quickly, but he is in a very slow tank, so it takes some time for him to get back to his base. By the time he gets back to his base, he's already down 4 tanks. The score is 5 tanks to 9. In fact, 5 tanks to 10. So he's down by 5 tanks on his team. But he knows exactly what he's doing, and it's evident from here where he knows he can't really push forward unless he can get some kind of hull down position, and he's got a little bit of a hull down position to hold here, and he managed to get that killing shot, which means he has nobody to fight except frontally, no one on his flank. Look at him here, he's full HP, and still he is playing very safe. He is being very careful. He's side scraping and creeping forward. He is not throwing away his HP. He is even here, as he peeks around the corner, he's angling his armor so that he could bounce this ISU. And just like that, he finishes off an ISU without even taking any damage. Like I said, he has a flawless game. He's taken 0 damage and he's already done 6.2 thousand damage and blocked 2.820 damage already blocked. Right now there's only 3 remaining tanks on his team: the Super Conqueror, the T62A, and that Scorpion that just died, which means right now it's a 2 versus 8 contest. And immediately he knows that he is outnumbered, he is outgunned. He needs to be really careful here. He can't turn around to face that Centurion 7-1. He leaves that T62A to deal with that Centurion 7-1, and that T62A deals with that tank no problem. And right now the enemy tanks, there is still 7 of them versus 2 of us here, and they are doing the right thing now. They are using the tanks with the full HP to rush forward, rush past, and then try to flank around our friend here and the T62A. But you can see him here taking some damage. There's not much he can do about it right now. They are rushing him. If you can say a missed shot is a mistake, then that's his little mistake there. He could have finished off that UDES 14-15 a bit sooner if he didn't miss that shot, but that's still okay. He takes a little bit of damage here while he is maneuvering his tank, but luckily he manages to land a shot on that Japanese Oho while he's turning his tank, and he bounces a shot there from that Oho. He could have took some time to aim a little bit more there, but I don't blame him at all. This is during the fog of war. Everything is chaotic, everything is fast moving. He needs to fire, he needs to think on his feet, and he needs to push forward to try and win this 1v3 situation. They still have an Object 430U, an E50, and a Lynx 6x6. Now, just 1v1ing a 430U is already a challenge by itself, because the 430U is a very well armored tank. But you can see our friend here, he is not waiting around. He is going forward because he knows that there is a possibility that that E50 is gonna get up behind him if he does not quickly dispose of that 430U. That is why you can see our friend in the Super Conqueror Benzo here being super aggressive with that 430U, because he knows that that E50M is probably trying to go around and trying to flank him. He managed to bounce a lucky bounce there and finishes off that 430U. What that 430U should have done is just reversed all the way up and make the Super Conqueror, the Benzo, chase him around while that E50M flanks around or maneuvers to try and get crossfire, work together to finish that Super Conqueror, our Super Conqueror here, Benzo. But luckily for Benzo here, that E50M may be miscalculated, or you could say our friend Benzo here did the right thing and recognized that that E50M was going to try and flank around or trying to maneuver into a flanking position, and he wasted no time and used his remaining hit points to push that 430U to get an advantage, to finish off that 430U quickly before that E50M pops up behind him or to his side where he can do nothing. So he did a really good move there by being aggressive towards that 430U, and that really saved him the trouble of fighting 2 tanks, one in front of him and one behind him. So that was a really good move on Benzo's side here. Now the Super Conqueror is still one of the most strongest tanks if you're playing in the random battles, if you're fighting corridors, if you're fighting on terrain where you can hull down. This tank has, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 10 degrees of gun depression, 15 degrees of gun elevation. Super strong tank when you are in a hull down position. In terms of competitive gameplay like clan wars, advances, skirmishes, strongholds, it might not be the first choice tank because that position is occupied by the chieftain, but it is still a very useful tank. If you have this tank in your arsenal, you will still get picked on certain maps because it is still very useful in hull down positions, holding a flank where you have the high ground, or holding a position where you have some terrain to block your lower plate. This is still a very viable clan wars slash tournament slash competition tank. It is still a very good tank, but generally in clan wars and competitive gameplay, I do not put the Super Conqueror up in the top tier first tank picks simply because this tank has been power crept over time with tanks like the Chieftain and other heavy tanks like the 277, the 279E. Those tanks are more important than the Super Conqueror in terms of first choices, because those tanks tend to survive a little bit longer, not just on terrain, not just using your hull down capability or your gun depression. Example, a 279 can survive very well even on flat ground because it has this V-shaped armor and super trollish frontal armor where it can bounce just almost anything. The Super Conqueror is going to be very specific to terrain, so you need terrain to hide your lower plate, and that's where its strength is. So that's the only reason why it is not in the top tier of tank selection in terms of competitive gameplay and clan wars, just because of that weak lower hull. You need to be constantly hiding it in order to save yourself. Now our friend here is driving straight into the cap, and what he's doing here, he is sitting in the cap. As you can see, he's looking for the lowest point in the cap circle, and what he's doing here is he is forcing the cap and forcing that E50 to face him head on. Now if that E50M attacks him from the north, he has a significant advantage here because he's hull down, and there he is. Now even if the E50 attacked from the side or from the K line, he would still be able to maneuver his tank. So he's watching two sides while he is capping it out and waiting for the E50 to come and face his maker. And what a great game here by Benzo. And like I said, this was a fantastic game with almost zero mistakes other than the two shots that he did not connect on the enemies. This was a complete flawless game for him. He got a Randy Walters, 12,000 damage in the Super Conqueror. Congratulations to Benzo. What a great job he did. I hope you enjoyed this video. He not only did 12,000 damage, he also blocked 5.2k damage in the 13-minute game. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and see how strong the Super Conqueror actually is. I'll see you on the next video. Bye.